Hi, this is Allison Durant coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, Canada with some unedited random art inspiration for the day, primarily focusing on watercolor. And in front of me I have my 2025 Artist Almanac calendar. I love these tear-off calendars. I will link in the description how you can get one of these calendars when they come out next year. I had purchased mine through Christine Karpiak. So again, I will jot down her name just so you can find her in the description of this video. But these are all the contributing artists that have made up this sweet little mixed media calendar. And today is the 3rd of January, 2025. And so this is today's artwork. And I love all the texture and the mark making. And it wasn't until I looked at this for a few minutes just before starting my video that I could see a cute little mug etched in pencil, or penciled in. So that's a really beautiful mixed media work, or at least a photo of part of the work. And you can see numbers stenciled on the side, and just some really beautiful pastel colors. And that's the inspiration for today. So I'm just gonna set this aside. And I've been playing around with my Princeton angular shader, my Aqua Elite brush, which is a 1/2 inch. And you can see it has an angled tip. And this is a really great brush. So if you've subscribed to my channel and you've been following me, you know that I'm sounding like a broken record because I've always used a round number 12 Princeton art brush. I do like Princeton's brushes. I like them because they're synthetic and they hold a lot of water and they really hold their shape well. And when I get a new brush, or when I have a brush that's been sitting around for a while, I really want to learn how to love it, or I will just pass it forward and donate it. I'm really trying to kind of zero in on the art supplies that I love, as I just have this paradox of choice right now, just too much. And it's a good problem to have as a full-time artist. But yeah, let's just play with this angular shader. So I've done several videos where we've made angular flowers, or abstract botanicals and butterflies, grasses, bamboo. And I'm just wondering if I have some of those. I don't know if I have, oh yeah, there is one here. So this was a work that I had done during my last video a couple days ago with you all. And I really was just playing with this brush. These watercolor paints are by Beam Paints, the Canadian company, where they make these non-plastic, non-toxic paint stones that are in a beeswax wrapped canvas. So they're really sweet, and I love the shells. So I purchased this watercolor in the shells from Beam Paints, which is Northern Ontario, a Canadian company, Indigenous, woman-owned, Anong Beam, and I really love their paint stones. So you can just purchase a few individually. I know they have a really great sale on at least once a year, and I believe it's the Black Friday sale, but they are worth the investment in my mind. And so I'm working on a good quality, so a good weight watercolor paper. So this is my Canson. I still haven't taken this little piece of wasabi tape off. That's so funny. If you've been following my videos, you can see I've moved it a few times, but I'm just gonna, it's well loved. I'm just gonna take it off because it's distracting me. So this is my Canson watercolor coil book, and it's 140 pounds or 300 grams, and it's 9 by 12 inches. So that's what I'm gonna be working in right now. And I thought we would just do a different exercise, a relaxing sort of meditative exercise with this angular shader brush, or whatever brush you have. Ultimately, it's just about finding a brush that you really enjoy holding if you're new to painting with watercolor, just, whether it's a watercolor brush or not, just getting comfortable with the feel of the brush and finding almost a flow, a meditative relaxation state, and just picking colors that you're craving in the moment and using what you have. So I am going to this is my awesome Beam Paintstone palette. It's a little, I think I call it a turntable. I think someone called it a Lazy Susan, and I am waiting for my family members to come home, and I thought I would put this in the middle of the kitchen table so we could all paint together. And I'm just gonna actually move some of these paints. I tried to do some of the warmer colors over on one side and the cooler colors on the other side, and I know they're not gonna stay like that. So I have, in here is actually 2 full sets of the Beam Paintstones. And so you can buy a full set from their website, or you can just buy them again as individual little paintstones in your favorite colors, maybe colors that, the primary colors where you can mix them to create secondary colors, therefore expanding your palette. This is one of my favorite paints by Beam Paints. It's again in this shell, and it's Orca, which has a gorgeous shimmer. So I'm just gonna use this sweet little bamboo, very affordable turntable. My parents, thank you Mom and Dad, had picked up a couple at the Dollarama. And so I've just been playing with these, and I think, again, it's gonna be great when I can put it in the middle of the table, and my son and I can do watercolors. And this is also great for teaching. So I have multiple sets. I did do some teaching in the community several years ago. So I had to have all of the colors, and I'm gonna keep it beside me here, and that way I can just turn it. So if I'm not fully in range of the viewfinder, I can kind of get you on range there. And so I'm gonna activate my watercolors with my Dollarama spritz bottle, which was $1.25 here in Canada. It's really cold here today. My little rescue dog, Oakley, went outside just to go for a pee, and he, within probably a minute or two, was at the door with his paw raised, and I really needed to have booties on him today when he was going outside. So I walked to the mailbox, and it was so cold, and there was nothing in the mailbox. We walked to our mailbox here where I am in this neighborhood. We don't get mail delivered right to our door. So, and I'm gonna just tell you what I'm gonna do for my relaxation exercise today. So you may or may not be painting alongside me. What I want to do, maybe first, well, I've activated my watercolors. Yes, I'm going to just start painting first with my 1/2-inch angular shader brush, and I have my I have a couple different waters on the go, and I'm going to, well, I shouldn't say different. I have 2 clear fresh water cups, and one is for the initial clean off of my brush, and the second is to clean off the brush even more. Sometimes if I'm really thoughtful, which I'm not going to be today, I would use one for warmer colors and one for cooler colors, just so the water doesn't get as muddy. But I'm just doing this for relaxation and play, and I'm going to tilt my coil book because that's how I paint more comfortably. I'm just going to see if I can zoom you. Yeah, I'm going to just keep you zoomed out here. And what I was thinking I would do is just go with colors I'm craving in the moment and not overthinking it, and just practicing in a horizontal fashion, going across the page with the shape, so mark making with the angular shader brush. And I don't usually use much green, but I just happened to, whoops, I happened to look at this. Where are we? This is boreal green. And maybe because I'm looking at the white snow outside, I just feel like using this green. I don't know if you noticed, I flicked my brush and I got some droplets of green here, and I kind of like that. I'm gonna keep that in, and I'm just gonna start sort of towards the top and go across and add some more water, maybe add some more pigment. So you can just use this as an exercise in practicing with your brush and practicing figuring out what colors you really enjoy. Right now I want to put in fiddlehead green, which is a really beautiful shimmery, almost yellowish green, green gold, and I'm just going to touch it into the above watercolor. And this area here, you can just see where the shimmer moved up into the boreal watercolor. It was really pretty. And I can dip back onto my paint stone and just come the other way if I want to brighten up the other side. And if you're a more experienced watercolor artist, say you paint landscapes, you may want to have, you know, a photo that you took recently, and maybe you want to almost paint, you know, choose a color palette based on the photo that you have, and that's another way to paint if you're more comfortable having something to look at. So at some point I'll do that, but right now I want to mix it up and add in, I almost want to add in drops of a really bright turquoise. So this is the Salish Sea. And my page is still fairly wet. And I'm just gonna do these dash marks right in between boreal, that first shade of green, and fiddlehead, that shimmery green. And just watching the watercolor move, do its job. And I'm gonna do another line above here and just overlap with boreal. And I'm really enjoying seeing the transparency underneath the Salish Sea. And you're just not really overthinking this exercise. Hopefully you're not. And it takes a while to get in the habit of just letting go. So I think I want to include some type of, I don't use a lot of purple in my work. This is lilac. And I might just try it above the Salish Sea and almost in a different way, like doing these kind of like rainbow shapes by angling the brush up, the point upward and to the right, and pushing down and just seeing what I get. It looks a little bit like lace. And I'm gonna flip over to violet, which is a gorgeous gem purple. It is such a strong color. And I see that this is drying down here. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna tap into the Salish Sea with the point, so holding the point down and the thinner part of the bristles up. So you can see how I'm doing it here. And just watching it move. And maybe I want to add more of that color. I got quite a bit of water on my brush. And I'm really enjoying how the water is pulling down into the violet. And because yellow and purple are primary colors, I really enjoy mixing them. You get a nice, neutral, almost muddy color. And I'm gonna do that same pattern, but go the opposite way and pull down from the violet. So I'm just touching into the violet and I'm pulling down and trying to stay kind of rhythmic and loose. And you can see I'm not really carrying, my shape is becoming more of a V as the way I'm angling, but not really thinking too much about keeping it, you know, so it's symmetric. Or now I've cleaned off my brush and I'm gonna go into Wild Salmon. Actually, that's a color that's ready to go in my shell. And it's one of my favorite shimmery colors by Beam Paints. And I'm gonna do the same shape, but I'm gonna instead maybe widen where I'm going with my marks compared to the top. I'm gonna get a bit more pigment on my brush midway through. And you can see how this is coming into feathering, blooming into a beautiful green, where the the poplar yellow and the wild salmon are creating sort of a rusty area here. And I'm gonna just clean off the tips of my fingers, actually. Getting quite a bit of paint on my fingers. And then I really love cherry magenta. So I might choose an area like the top, which is now dry. So I'm gonna go over top of lilac, and some of it's not dry, and again, it doesn't matter. I'm just reloading my brush a couple times to get some beautiful pink. And I like that color a lot, and I'm gonna go right through the wild salmon. And this is where it would be kind of cool to have, say, a 1-inch angular shader or a slightly larger one. So I'm just gonna go right across this middle point. Add a bit more water and just kind of look at the pattern I'm creating and deciding what I like. I want to add more pigment. And I tend to go for brights, but I know that when I'm finished, I find it more appealing if I mix in neutrals with those brights. So I'm gonna add some Wet Grizzly, which is another really beautiful shimmery beam paint stone, very close to Orca, but this is sort of a mix of gold and bronze, and Orca is a grayish black color. And I may just make this even wider. And so what we're doing is just getting to a place where we're figuring out how much pigment we like to add to our paintbrush, how much water, drying time, you know, looking at our paper. If you have a thinner paper, say 90 pounds or lighter, you know, maybe within your budget you're working on much thinner paper, it would definitely buckle. The good thing is with many papers, you can flatten them out with, there's a way to flatten them when you're finished. And so I use a really flat, say, countertop or glass like a, how do you say, like a granite counter, something very smooth and hard. And you would clean off that surface, put the painting, say, on wax paper or parchment paper face down, and you would, or sorry, there's different ways of doing it. You can spritz the flat countertop, and then you can put your painting face up, and right over top of the spritzed water, put that painting face up, and then put a wax piece of paper or parchment paper over top, or really any kind of paper as long as your painting's dry, just to protect the surface of the front of your painting. And heavy books, for even if you do, you know, 10 to 12 hours, that's great. If you can leave it longer, that's even better. Right now, as I am talking, I'm just deciding I want to practice angling my brush in a V shape. And the wet grizzly looks so good over top of this dried violet. And these would make beautiful bookmarks, cutouts, a base for other layers of, say, acrylic paint. So many possibilities, but you want to just think of this as being in a place of exploration, relaxation, and I'm just deciding that I want to go into robin's egg. And I want to make a slightly wider V shape and pull down some of the wet grizzly. Most of it's dried. And again, you're just sort of getting used to this different shaped brush. And, you know, you can, there's so many ways of, you know, of what I'm doing is just choosing colors that I feel like. This next one is called Milkweed, and I almost want to add it halfway over here just to see the transparency that I get, that really pretty light green, and just compare it with that side. And then I want to get more milkweed on my brush and maybe do those round marks across these V's, and without much rhyme or reason. And once that dries, I would probably go over it with something different. Right now I want to go to Timber Wolf Gray, or sorry, it's Pain, oh yeah, it has in brackets Payne's Gray, which is like Timber Wolf Gray. So they have the two names on there. And you can just see how that milkweed ran into the timber wolf where it was wet. So you can choose to dip into the layer above, or you can choose to avoid it altogether, just depending on what you feel like in the moment. You can practice working fast or slow. And then, you know, when you're finished, you will have a variety of shapes and marks, and you'll be able to go over top with some of your mixed media supplies, like permanent pens once this is fully dry, paint pens, and water-soluble, you know, pencil crayons. I mean, you could use water-soluble materials at this point when things are still wet, because you're not going to wreck them going from water-soluble to something that's wet. I just decided to add marks with this graphite color, and I am going to, what I'm going to do is just turn my book around. I'm going to lift you guys up a little bit. on my tripod. And I'm gonna just add some dark up at the top. And adding dark will give me an opportunity later to add contrast with a lighter, you know, say a paint pen, like my white Posca. So I'm gonna go into this graphite. And I'm gonna do kind of loop marks. And I like the texture that I got with those loop marks. And I'm gonna add even more of the graphite right in the middle of this row here. Maybe another row at the top. And I really liked the violet, how dark it was when I put it on heavily. So I'm gonna add that violet. And this time just sort of in blocks of feeling what it's like to have that angular brush. And this is a great exercise to do when, you know, you're listening to something in the background, maybe a podcast or a TV show, your favorite music. And I'm just deciding if I want to darken up this area with the purple. Maybe I'll just go halfway. Kind of blend those colors on the paper. I'm gonna pick up the purple amethyst. Not really clean off my brush, because the violet and the amethyst are very similar, and I'm just gonna go across with the amethyst. And maybe I'll just pull the amethyst across the bottom. And just see what appears underneath. And if you've followed me for a while, you know I like to use, again, different supplies like watercolor supplies, such as my water-soluble Faber-Castell, or sorry, what are they? You can use any water-soluble pencil, or you could use a pencil crayon, but you're not gonna get the watercolor effects. Although you can buy a water-soluble pencil, I mean, I believe even the dollar stores have them, just whatever's in your budget. I really like the Caran d'Ache, the Super Color Soft, because that's just worked for me with the work that I have come to love. And I just wanna show you, like, if I can just loosely make marks through my page, you can see the areas that are dry, you can feel those areas that are dry, and then I could feel the damp part and see how it looks different with the way I put this gray through it. You could try just really loosely a color that might show up better, just scribbling across really loosely, and that I really like. That orange through the violet, and where are we? This is a olive yellow, and again, maybe just turning my page over and doing some type of really loose, I'm just trying to decide what I want to do. Line going through. And then maybe choosing a darker green, this spruce green by Carousel, and just doing lines through here. And this has become just a very interesting background. It was very meditative, hopefully very relaxing for you all. I tend to work quite quickly, and I want to practice slowing down more with this type of exercise. So again, these would be just great if you were, you could cut them in different lines and actually create a whole collage painting with these thin lines, these strips. You could, again, have those punch outs that you can get, those paper punches, just collage going over top with acrylic paints. The watercolor will move when you go over top of this with watercolor with acrylic paints because they're a water-based paint, but there's still so many things you can do. So when this is dry, I can show you a little bit more, maybe in another video. I kind of want to shift gears a little bit, but before I do that, I want to show you, so if you have these, so the Neocolor Caran crayons are great. I use these all the time. There's Neocolor ones, which are not water soluble. So if I go through a part that's wet, they're not gonna move, and they're just really awesome. So I can just show you by doing maybe some loops with this blue Neocolor one. And this is in light blue. So again, Neocolor ones are permanent. They're a wax oil kind of mix, but they're so wonderful to use. They're really like a kid's crayon, but like extreme high quality, beautiful pigments, and you can put these under work and go over top, and again, they're gonna stay put. Whereas the Neocolor 2s, these are water soluble. So this is vermilion, and if I was to do maybe some mark making through here, so just say I put these marks in this area. Let's just say I'm not doing this for relaxation. I'm wanting to create a painting that I like and find my style, and maybe I don't like what I had done. So you can take your brush and go over top and blend it out. This is going to be a bit of a mess, but it's just sort of a demo of, these are water soluble, so they will move if you put water over top. And I can kind of blend them out. It's not easy, but this would be what I would say sort of a happy accident, because you might just go back to this area and think, oh, that's really quite interesting. So it's all about like kind of being in the moment with the supplies you have on hand, with supplies that are in your budget, and finding a way to just enjoy the process of artwork. And the more you do this, the more you will find your own style eventually, if that's something you do hope to achieve. I know a lot of people have written to me, and they'd like to find their own style, and I've had a lot of questions on how to do that, and it really does take time. I was just trying a yellow, Naples yellow water-soluble pencil through here, and I'm gonna let this dry and just call this practice for that particular work. And what I'm gonna do next, I have not pulled a card from my art poetry deck. And Linda, thank you for your message about the ability to shuffle vertically and not horizontally when you have small hands. I think that is a game changer. So funny, because you think, why didn't I think of that? I've been shuffling this way, trying to, like, you know, just trying to make it look really good on video, and it wasn't working for me. So this is much better. And I think many of you had commented, but Linda, recently you commented, and I just wanted to say thank you. My friend Linda from down east in Canada. And okay, this is the art poetry card that I have pulled today, and it's a landscape. It is a mountain landscape with some of my favorite colors, turquoises and blues, grays, Mars black, and mark making that I really enjoy, such as those very triangular mountains, or some people think of them as, you know, like a teepee, or I've heard different things, but that's just sort of my style. And this painting was actually in one of my art journals. It was quite small, and it just turned out really beautifully in print, and I wanted to incorporate it in my deck. I chose the words, have deep conviction for the things that you care about. So just when you believe in something, just to make sure you are putting your energy into that something. So for me, the reason I have been doing more of these videos lately is I feel like the benefit of doing these videos for myself is so great. It's so great for my mental health, my physical health, my creative well-being, and I love this community. I find everybody so inspiring and encouraging, and also sharing their own tips and tricks, and I'm just really grateful for it. And there's times when I do videos kind of back to back, and that's just because that's just what I need. I'm convinced that that is what I need at the time. And so here I am in the moment with you, and I hope that whatever you have deep conviction, what you care for so deeply in your life, you can carve out some time and just know that these moments are so precious. And yeah, I wish for that for you for the upcoming year, because, you know, just starting a new year can be a great time to think about intentions, make change, but also not, you know, overwhelming yourself. But I think most of us, if we asked a question, you know, what's just one thing we could do to improve our well-being at this time, it would be something probably we could modify. Like, for me, I know it's getting better sleep and just prioritizing sleep. And on New Year's, I was probably in my pajamas. My husband and I were ready for bed, I think probably around 8:30, and maybe asleep by 10:30 or 11. And we just had a laugh, but we'd rather spend the next day enjoying it and not being tired. And that is, for us, we just know good sleep is what would benefit us most at this time. So rest is my priority. I don't know what your thoughts are on what you need in your life right now, and I'm off track, which I always do, and I hear that you guys are okay with that, so that's great. I'm gonna just tuck that back in, and maybe we can go through. Oh, I know, I really should clean my hands off here before I touch these beautiful prints, but I'm gonna just flip through. I flipped through some of my work. For those of you that are new to my channel, I just want to share with you some of my style that's evolved since I started painting over the last, probably, I'd say, like, I've probably for the last 5 years was when I really You know, it was 2020 where I really called myself an artist. I started selling my work. I sold my first painting in December of 2019. And after just doing a whole lot of paintings and working really prolifically, because that's how I work. And anyways, this painting is titled Subtleties and Snowflakes, one of my mountain paintings. And this one is titled Beneath the Iceberg. And I have a lot of gold embellishments. So these are canvas prints. And I really want to get my gold paint pen and embellish this, but I'm just wondering, where is it? I just got a new gold Posca paint pen. Okay, but I don't have it handy. I just want to embellish that gold right here. So this is on canvas material. This painting is on the interior Let's Thrive. This one is Influence of Asia. Remember Your Breath, one of my favorite art poetry paintings that I painted in 2020. I can't wait to embellish some of these. You see I have my gold Uniball Signo pen, and I just want to add a little bit of gold right in that middle area here and right in there. This is my acrylic painting titled Carousel. You can see I added a little bit of gold embellishment down there. And this was on a large wood panel, and it had sold some time ago. This is more an example of my acrylic style. And this one is called After the Rain. Again, an acrylic painting with a lot of movement and color, a lot of color. And this one is titled, I believe this one is Let's Fly Together. And I can't wait to embellish that gold. I could just add some gold to the beaks with my Uniball Signo pen here, and a little bit of gold on the feet. And I would do beautiful gold in here. This is titled Buds in Bouquets, so flower buds and also friends. Bird buds. And again, this was another really big painting I had done on canvas, and it was all done with acrylic inks and acrylic paint. So it has a watercolor feel, but it was mostly done with acrylic inks, which are so much fun. This is my girl from my series of Matters of the Heart, Matters of the Art. And this painting is titled That's All That Matters, and I'm gonna embellish her eyelids. And I'm gonna embellish her necklace, which says, Let Go. I like working on cotton rag and canvas material for prints. I love embellishing canvas material though. I can just feel that texture underneath my pen, and it's really enjoyable. This is my painting titled Found. When I was lost and I had found my style by taking Flora Bowley's course titled Fresh Paint. It was a wonderful, wonderful course, but the key was to paint as many paintings, you know, say 9 inches square, around that size, as many paintings as you could, just by letting go, playing with your supplies, not worrying if they were finished, but just painting in quantity. And again, that is, I feel like that's the best thing I could say if someone's trying to find their style. You just need to paint and paint and paint until well, you want to always enjoy it. So, you know, only paint when you really feel like it, but don't ever put that pressure on to finish a painting or to feel like you should have your style right away, because it just takes so much time and patience. And this is titled Lost and Found. So again, I've spoken about this in some of my other videos, but it was where I found a style that I like to call, that, you know, I know it's not my own. It's been done many times before, that reticulated style or that reticulated technique. But for me, it's a style that I've really come to love as an underlayer and then to add my own flair on top. So I was lost and I found myself through painting and through a style. And then this is titled Flourish. So this was another acrylic painting I had done on wood. And my parents have the original, which was done on a wood panel. And I'm just adding a little bit of gold accents in the middle of the flowers. One of the few times I used a almost maroon brownish moon instead of a gold moon. And then this one is called Light Within My Reach, one of my mountain paintings. And I like to embellish my paintings with this fluorescent red acrylic paint mixed with white to give the most beautiful pink. Actually, that paintbrush is too big. Where's my smaller paintbrush? I just don't know if I have, do I have a smaller paintbrush here? I guess I could use this. And I'm almost running out of my pre-mixed paint. And just adding a little bit of that acrylic paint, which I can later add more depth to. And again, this one, whoops, which also has this beautiful kind of light pink. So again, I mixed fluorescent red. You can get like Liquitex brand, fluorescent red, and white. And you get this pastel pink that is just beautiful. And I'm gonna go over top with a little bit of that fuchsia color once this is dry. This is a painting I really need to just put up because of the message. If it lights you up, do more of it. So, you know, time is precious, your time is valuable, and only do it if you enjoy it. So I'm going to add a little bit of gold into these dots that I had done my signature kind of mark making over this beautiful apple green area. And embellishing it. So, you know, getting your work reproduced into print is a wonderful way to revisit your art, because you can revisit it at a different scale. You can even change it. You know, if there's something you didn't like about the painting and you want to revisit it, you could always, you know, get an affordable material to have it printed on and even paint over it. There's so many possibilities. I'm just trying to decide if I want to add that gold line work in here, and I don't. This is Elemental Landscapes, so another mountain painting, and I see I can add a little bit more of that beautiful pink down here and in the corner. And I'm just gonna set that aside to dry. This painting is titled Magical Sky. This one's Alberta Roots. It just kind of gives you an idea of my work, especially if you're new to my channel. This is In Darkness I Stand With You, and this was a painting I painted when the war in the Ukraine broke out. And There's that pink down there. And then this one is called Blushing in Nature. It reminds me of the blush that, well, not when I put it on my cheeks, but when I'm in the store and I see the pretty color of blush in the store lighting. And it just, yeah, it made me think of just blushing. And again, Mother Nature blushing. And this one is titled Here I Am, which was a follow-up painting to one of my favorite paintings titled And There You'll Be, my other mountain painting, but this one's titled Here I Am. And my printer actually had purchased the original. This one I already embellished, so I can just put my little container away of acrylic paint, and I am going to just see if there's any. Just gonna clean my brush off, just because that's acrylic paint, so it's important to clean your brush when you have acrylic paint on your mixed media brushes. Otherwise it can just harden and wreck the brush, so you want to clean it. Not really like the way I'm cleaning it here, but just I know I'll probably forget because I'm on video, so I'm just gonna do that. This painting is titled Comfort in the Mountains, which was around the same time I did In the Elements. And this one, it's Back to My Roots. This was an acrylic painting, all acrylic, and I really love this painting. I believe, yes, I have the original. It's right to my right on my wall. So that is one that I have kept because I know somebody had reached out and asked if I keep some of my paintings. This I want to embellish with gold, but I have a thicker pen. And this is Planting Seeds of Lemonade. And then this one, which I'm really hoping to do a landscape like this with you all soon. I used a few different brands of watercolors, but I feel like I could probably teach this style, or at least similar to it. I can never repaint a work, even if I try really hard. This is titled Nature's Map. And I spoke about this in a recent video. And then again, After the Rain, this is a larger canvas print of After the Rain. This was, my printer had extra material. We were practicing a varnish, so you can see the streaking. This was a painting titled Composed in Nature, and a bookmark, because he uses excess canvas material on his printer to make these bookmarks. So there's elements of focus. Is that okay? I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, elements of focus. Subtleties and Snowflakes. In Darkness I Stand with You. And again, In the Elements, down at the bottom on that bookmark. So it's kind of a fun way to, instead of a business card, sometimes I just slip in a bookmark with my, if someone purchases my art poetry deck, I like to put in a bookmark because you can bend them and they will uncurl. So it's just an easy thing to slip in the mail in a little box. And then this one is titled Dreams of Flight. And oops, there's some of my collage material. That's funny, I would have been looking for that. This is Foothills Farm Girl, and I love to paint cows. I have a series of cows, and there was one of my art collectors reached out, and she has a farm in Foothills, Alberta, dairy farm with cows. So Foothills Farm Girl was the title, which came after she saw me working on it as a work in progress on Instagram and reached out to buy it. I see that I could have embellished this pink, but I cleaned my brush. So this is called Cradled Elements. And there's my painting, And There You'll Be, which I painted around the same time as Here I Am. And both have significant meaning in the titles for me. This is titled Camouflage Gems, which I really, really love. It just reminds me so much of a camouflaged pattern and the gems in nature, the undiscovered pearls in our life, wisdom, uncovered gems, and how painting and the creative process uncovers those gems for me in my life. How, you know, it's sort of like art is a reflection, sort of looking in a mirror, and it's a reflection of ourself. And I'm looking for my bronze Uniball Signo because I really want to embellish this, but I don't see it. So, and then this is called Sunbeams Over Alberta. This was a painting, a really large painting on watercolor paper, and that upper right corner just looked like sunbeams, a beautiful sunset that we have in Alberta. I really, really loved this painting. It has so much texture and depth. It's almost like a feather had appeared. Just a lot of movement and beauty and so much intricacy in here, which is really hard to see on camera. And then this one is titled Let's Chill in the Mountains. And here's elements of focus. So lots of mountains. This is an art poetry painting titled Hold On to Hope. And this one is Light Within My Reach. Or sorry, A Touch of Light. This one is Light Within My Reach. And then this one is A Touch of Light, which is a triptych, and I'm looking at it in the corner of my home in 3 little 8-inch square frames. So I did keep that original. This is called Reliable in Nature. This was a really reliable color palette for me. It's some of my favorite colors. I love to wear navy blue. This is like a dark Payne's gray. I love pinks and fuchsias, and I was really trying to make a mountain painting with my favorite palette, and so that's why I called it Reliable in Nature. Also, with my personality, I'm quite reliable because I'm a little bit, how do you say, I am very set in my ways, and how do I say, yeah, that's all I'll say. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Bloom Where You Are, which was a watercolor background with acrylic over top. So more of an acrylic, heavy acrylic painting versus watercolor, I suppose, and collage, and it says Bloom Where You Are. This is The Grass Is Always Greener. And this one, I love embellishing this one. I can't wait to embellish the bird. This is Bird Whispers. We're almost at an hour. I'll see if I can just flip through. This is called Fairy Tale, one of my art poetry paintings. Sandy Beaches of the North Shore, which was both watercolor and acrylic, and reminds me of my time in Kauai, like an aerial view of the Hawaiian island, the Garden Island, the wettest island on Earth, I believe. They have Waimea Canyon. This is Sandy Beaches of the North Shore, so talking about the North Shore, Kauai, one of the best surfing destinations in the world, I would say. Not that I'm a surfer. I'd like to be in my next life. Trust. This is a painting I had dated it down there. So I had painted that in January of 2023. And then this is Ain't No Bull. Another one of my cow girls. Keep It Simple, which is a very simple painting I could actually teach sometime on video. And then Off to Church, because my husband told me this cow looks like she was ready to go to church. We don't go to church, but we just had a real laugh when I finished painting her. So I am probably gonna leave you with her today, and I'm gonna sign off. I hope you found this video inspiring somehow and relaxing. And whatever you're doing, I just encourage you to keep it simple and don't be too critical of yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. I think as artists, we're very sensitive people. Being a creative and an artist, especially putting your work out there, can be very vulnerable. And just for me, I need that reminder to keep it simple and just enjoy the process and enjoy the moments. So thanks so much.